It's been another heartbreaking day for tens of thousands of people caught up in Sydney's flood emergency. More homes and businesses are underwater. There are more than 70 evacuation orders in place. And there's a dangerous rescue operation underway in wild seas near Sydney. We have reporters in key locations tonight. Mark Reddy begins our coverage.
A stalled cargo ship, no match for this wild weather. Winds pushing it dangerously close to the cliffs at the Royal National Park, with 21 crew helpless on board.
They were departed Port Kembla yesterday. They were off on a voyage. They have a main engine failure and suddenly they're drifting towards the rocks.
A rescue helicopter was dispatched, but after multiple attempts to reach the crew, the mission was aborted. 2 anchors slowed the drag towards the coast. Tugboat drivers risked their lives to help steer the ship away from shore.
We've got 8-metre swells out there, 30 knots. It's atrocious conditions out there.
The aim is to get the Hong Kong-based ship well off the coast tonight before the weather deteriorates further.
They're confident that they can actually make an engine repair once they get out into safe deep water.
Inland flooding fears were reached as torrential rains caused further spillage from the Warragamba Dam.
That water did move downstream and affect North Richmond last night. They received levels similar to what they saw in March 21.
We found Gary Evans using his boat to try to retrieve what he could from his partially submerged home upstream. What's the damage like? Have you seen it?
Oh, it's devastating. But this is the third time, yeah.
His son brought his dinghy to help save what they could as floodwaters rose. Neighbours' homes are abandoned.
Some of those images are truly heartbreaking, seeing people's homes, their lives turned upside down again.
Quick thinking saved these cattle in Richmond before flash flooding submerged paddocks last night.
Our backyard is now part of the Hawkesbury River.
Despite conditions easing, authorities warned flooding in Windsor is still on the rise.
A lot of us aren't coping. There's a lot of people in the area that are elderly. Basically, we're stuck, we're stranded.
To see what we're seeing right across Sydney, there's no doubt these events are becoming more common, and governments need to adjust and make sure that we respond to the changing environment that we find ourselves in.
Thousands of people are now bracing themselves for the clean-up ahead. Mark Reddy, ABC News.
And Mark Reddy is live for us in Windsor. Mark, this latest flood emergency has raised even more questions again about what to do at the Warragamba Dam.
Juanita, the Minister for Western Sydney says it's crucial to get the dam wall raised. But not everyone agrees. Some locals and even the federal MP say it'll cost too much and won't necessarily work. While there's no consensus on what to do about the dam, locals have been left counting the cost. Juanita?
Mark Reddy live for us in Windsor there, thank you. Tim Swanston is in Penrith. Tim, despite all of the warnings, many people still needed to be rescued by the SES today.
Well, Juanita, even though officials held a late update last night, there were 83 rescues across the state since 9 p.m. last night. The State Emergency Service received almost 4,000 requests for assistance, and tonight hundreds of people will spend the night in evacuation centres or emergency accommodation.
Thoroughly soaked and leaving almost everything they own behind.
1, 2, 3, lift.
Hamed, his partner and 3 children are ferried to safety.
Woke up this morning 1.5 metre in the water.
It's the third time in little over a year that flooding has swept the Hawkesbury Nepean region.
Hopefully this is the last of it. Yeah. That's what I thought on the previous 2 rounds.
Residents are grateful for the help.
Thank you.
But they're also exhausted and anxious about what the future holds.
The recovery phase from this one is going to be even more challenging. I mean, there's a compounding effect every time this happens on people's mental health.
Hundreds of families in the Hawkesbury were already in temporary accommodation from floods earlier this year. Residents have also been waiting months for key roads to be repaired. Some had just reopened, only to be shut again.
Hopefully everyone can help each other out as much as they can.
The Hawkesbury Nepean water level hit more than 16 metres yesterday, higher than the major floods over the last 3 years.
While residents in the area are getting used to flooding, what took them by surprise was how quickly floodwaters rose.
That's going for 3 metres very quickly.
The federal government says it stands ready to assist, but that it won't be declaring a national emergency. It will instead take the lead from the state government.
We've had compounding disasters in this region, and that's why we want to make sure that payments will be ready to go as quickly as possible, and why discussions have been ongoing.
Even when the rain eases, the troubles for these communities are far from over. Tim Swanston, ABC News, Sydney.
In southwest Sydney, many residents are confronting their fourth flood in less than 2 years. Kelly Fuller is in Camden tonight. Kelly, it's just so much for people to cope with.
It certainly is, Juanita, and we heard today there is deep resilience in this community and a knowledge that despite this latest flood disaster, the locals will rally. But with steady rain continuing to fall all afternoon and into this evening, no one is taking their eyes off the Nepean, even though official reports show it's receding. And as people go through the anguish of emptying their homes of their flood-damaged possessions, no one is talking recovery yet, just desperately hoping the rain will stop. Underwater again, but this time it was bigger, deeper and faster.
The water just came in so quickly. We moved things up, but we needed to move them up a lot higher. So this time round we've been significantly damaged.
Davina Smith's now inundated Charity among dozens in southwestern Sydney forced to evacuate.
A lot of grief and heartache for our team and particularly for the community that we support here on a regular basis.
Much-loved belongings now line Camden streets as the difficult task of cleaning up for the fourth time begins.
I think it's devastating that it's happened so quickly after the others, because a lot of businesses are just still trying to recover and probably only just opened their doors recently.
It's going to do this as long as it rains, just keep coming up.
The Camden Weir peaked at 12 metres on Sunday. The water is slowly receding, but many homes and businesses are still inundated.
We've only been here 2 months, but regardless, we've still got, got to keep food on my table and pay rent, and that doesn't stop.
We're struggling, actually. I sometimes lay awake at night thinking, well, maybe I should get a job at Bunnings or something. But no, this is my life, and we're here for the long haul.
After 4 floods in less than 2 years, the people here are traumatised, especially those who are the most vulnerable. So there's going to be an even greater need for support in the months ahead.
We're in disbelief. You keep on saying, oh, not again. But as the mayor of this place, we've got to be strong. We are resilient.
Resilience in the face of yet another devastating disaster. Kelly Fuller, ABC News, Sydney.
Let's go to Cayman Gock now. He's in Wiseman's Ferry. Cayman, what's the advice going into tonight?
Well, Juanita, the advice is this isn't over and expect more flooding as water continues to head downstream and the high tide comes through early tomorrow morning. An evacuation order was issued here earlier this afternoon, and that's because several roads have been now closed off by this flooding. In fact, some of the water here has continued to rise. Local SES tell me they expect the water to come up potentially by another 1.5 metres and will surpass that major flood level. And because it is impacted by the tides here, they expect that it could be several days before this water can subside before the damage can be assessed. Juanita?
Cayman Gock reporting there.